come once again to discuss things.
By the way, what are we talking about?
And on that note, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Partu. Joining me today is Connor Nielsen and Rasco, aka Squatch Gang. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey. What up?
So we are talking about a brand new horror movie that just came out a couple weeks ago, so I guess it's not brand new. Rasco picked it. What's the name of the movie, Rasco?
The Witch, a New England folktale.
Yeah, and so in the spirit of witchcraft and wizardry and sorcery, I am going to make a prediction that this entire episode will be me saying things and you guys telling me why I'm wrong and me telling you that you're stupid, because this movie sucked.
Okay.
And let's begin.
Okay, please tell me, because I work at a movie theater. I don't know how many people know that. I only say it every other day. But I work at a movie theater, and I saw this movie, and I really liked it. And then every single person I've ever come into contact to hates it to, like, no end. They just come up to me and say, this movie sucks, it's horrible. And I'll say, why? And they just say, because it sucks, it's stupid. They don't actually give out reasons, and it's been driving me crazy. So now I finally have somebody who can actually explain to me why it's not that good, because I really like this movie.
Can we give each person kind of give their own pitch, like, really quick of just about how they felt about it, just so we can kind of, like, see where everyone stands?
Sure.
So
I felt that
first.
it was one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen, and I was bored to tears the entire time. Squatch, how about you?
For me, I came out of the movie thinking that it was good, and the more I've thought about it, the more I like it, and it's just something I keep thinking about it, and I like it more and more, so, yeah, I like it.
Okay. And Connor, you kind of already gave your general thoughts then, so...
No, I mean, I really like it. I think that the acting is great. I really like the period detail and the direction and the writing. I think it has some story problems, but I do think it's very good overall.
Okay. So yeah, you were asking for explanations of why it's bad.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, I don't really go by any kind of objective scale on whether or not a movie is good or bad. Mine is entirely a subjective thing about, how I reacted to it. And all I can say is thank God I took a nap before I went to go see this movie, because otherwise I would have fallen asleep in the theater. There was only one other dude there, and honestly, if I wasn't doing this episode, I would have walked out.
But why, Ian? Why?
I'm getting there. I'm building atmosphere. The one thing I liked about this movie, the atmosphere. But anyway, so there's no logical consistency here, and people will make arguments, that can work for a horror movie, especially old-style horror, and yeah, fine, but you have to have something for your audience to hold on to, and I am blown away by how little sense any of this makes. I do not like any of the people. I feel no sympathy for any of them whatsoever, and I don't even get to enjoy the monster because the witch, the title character, isn't on screen for more than she's probably got, if I were to count the screen time, it's probably under 2 minutes.
It's probably, I would say under a minute, maybe.
Yeah. It's, I like some of the ideas of what they're going for, but just, I hate the execution. I like the idea of just this really unnerving, really kind of creepy atmosphere, but I don't know, man. It just doesn't work the way they do it.
Can
The actors annoy me. I just don't like any of the people. There's nothing. There's so little for me to hold on to that. Like I said, if I were not doing this video, I would have walked out of the theater maybe half an hour in.
Can I give my pitch? Can I give my like anti what you just said pitch? Like, can I get like my pitch now for why I like it?
Sure.
Okay, so when I came out of this movie, I was thinking about does the weirdness come out of nowhere in this movie? Because this is a weird movie. I'll go ahead and I'll say it. You show this movie to 20 people, most people are going to say that was weird. Regardless of whether or not they liked it, they're probably going to agree that it was weird. And it's a very slow movie, and it's one of those movies where you get to the end and you don't know what you just saw, and you kind of you have to sit back and think about it. And I'm a big believer in, you know, I look at the movie, and the movie tells me what it's trying to do, and then I say, okay, well, here's how well you did that. Here's how well you succeeded at doing what you were trying to do, and here's how worthy of a goal what you were trying to do was even worth. Like, this is how worthy of a goal this even is, period. And so I'm looking at this movie, and right off the bat, the title. So a lot of people look at it and they see the witch, and they're like, oh, okay. But then they completely leave out the second half of the title, which is a New England folktale, which I think is the most important thing you have to know when you go into this movie, is that it's a New England folktale. The movie, okay, so like this is full spoilers and everything, right?
Yeah.
So Black Phillip is Satan, I guess, or not Satan, but like
apparently.
Yeah, maybe it is Satan, but Black Phillip is a goat that's actually a guy, and he's evil, and it's weird, and none of this makes sense until you think about, okay, look, if this was in storybook form, I wouldn't be questioning these things. And so for me, why I like the movie is this. I think that The Witch, what it is, it's a New England folktale. I think that it is written from the perspective of somebody who doesn't, like, so, like, regardless of what he is, he's writing it, what's the guy's name? What was his,
Robert Eggers.
Yes, okay, so Robert Eggers. It's written as if he is writing it like he is one of those pilgrims. It's a movie where Christianity and Christian morality and this kind of mythology around this whole thing, it's in that world where these things are always actively at play. You know, like sinning and, you know, like bad things that are considered to be bad according to some like really old Christian text are bad in this. So the kid is growing up, and he's going through puberty, and he starts seeing his sister sexually. He keeps staring at her breasts. And then he's corrupted and seduced by the witch. And it's all of these things. Everything in the movie, it's surrounding Christian morality. It's almost as like if it lived in a world where those factors are always at play. As if you do something in that world, and if it's a sin, bad things might happen to you. Bad things might come of that, because it's a folktale. And in folktales, these are the kind of things that happen. Oftentimes there's a moral or something, and it's, you know, the bad things happen when you're a bad Christian in that movie. And it is a family that is completely devoured by their faith in a time where there is not much other than that for them to latch onto, period. So for me, what this movie is, it's an ultra-realistic version of what I would imagine just like a folktale that I would read in like a children's book or something like that. And it's that done real. And it's a movie as if there is this objective magical force of morality around them that is derived from Christian text. And so everything in that movie surrounds kind of just Christian morality as a whole. And that's where it all comes from. It's a folktale. It's got a moral, and there's magic in folktales. If I was reading a book and I saw a black goat named Black Phillip, I wouldn't think twice about Black Phillip, the character of the goat that actually turns out to be Satan. I wouldn't think twice about that in a folktale. But I would in a movie that's portraying itself this realistically. And for me, I really like it because it's a juxtaposition. It's like showing you this ridiculous story that you would imagine that would make more sense in the context of a children's book that you are watching in ultra realism, and I really like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
can
and
I,
that's
I wanna
my
jump
pitch.
off-
let me get in real quick and respond to that. I understand your point, and I thought about this movie probably more than I think it deserves. You're making a film, though. It is not a folk tale. It is not, a children's book that I'm reading. This is an R-rated horror movie, and so it should be a film first and all of that other stuff second, and it's just not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Bam. No, guys, I need to jump in on this because what happens is I wanted to spring off of Rasco's point where he was saying how it's a children, like, it uses the folk tale template and uses folk tale tropes, but it's also a horror film. And the thing is, it's a horror film, but it's not a particularly scary film. The thing is, it uses storybook logic, but it uses cinematic cues. There's a lot of visual symbols to read into and literary symbols to read into, like the apple. Like what he's staring at his. He's kind of the Caleb, the oldest son, is kind of starting to develop sexual feelings and understanding what sexuality is on himself. So he naturally looks at the most attractive woman in his life, which is Anya Taylor-Joy as a sister, and what happens is what does he eventually do? He is seduced by the witch who is taking the form of like a really hot supermodel, and then what happens is they light.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but anyone else think she kind of looked like Helena Bonham Carter in that scene?
Kind of, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, go on, Connor.
I don't agree, but whatever. And so what happened was when the dad and the oldest son lied to the mom, saying that the boy says that they saw a apple tree. That is without a doubt going for the Genesis, Adam and Eve tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is they mention an apple tree, and throughout time we've always kind of in Christianity it's always been they took a bite of the apple, and what happens when his sexual desires kind of turn on him, that's his sin, so to speak. And then cinematically, what happens is when he's is going through that weird exorcism scene, what comes out of his mouth but an apple, which is kind of his sin coming out of him before he dies. So he kind of finds salvation but then dies. So I think there's cinematic and story things to read in here, but when it uses that whole folktale framework to work out of. And I really like that, how it kind of blends folktale and but it still is a horror movie.
Yeah, but I just feel like from a filmmaking perspective, it has no internal logic that an audience can easily follow because, you two, at least from what Connor's explained to me, you two are the outliers of people that were able to read into and understand what the movie was trying to go for.
I guess amongst the general audiences, we would be outliers.
Yeah, I was able to kind of get some of it, but I was just so blown away by everything that was going on. And I think the thing that pissed me off the most about this movie is that really by the end of it, there's no reason it had to be a witch. It could have been literally anything. It could have been aliens by the end of this fucking movie. Just the explanations that we get are so sparse and so from the character's perspective, and that should be fine, that should be enough, but it's just not. And so we're just left with no idea what's going on. So if this is a moral tale, I don't know what to look out for.
Well, I think
if I'm supposed to look at this from the viewpoint as of a child being, chastised and told to fear the woods, I don't know what I'm supposed to be afraid of.
I think though that now not all of what you're not all of that is intentional. I'm going to say, but okay, there is a certain aspect of when you get to the end of the movie. There is, for me at least, and I like this, and I guess a big reason for the kinds of things that this movie I think is about are really interesting to me because it's kind of about the role of it's kind of about Christianity, what it's been, what its role was, its perceptions of morality, and the philosophy that these people would have, the life philosophy that you are abiding by when you are a Christian in this time period.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to me. I'm not a religious person, but that is just an important aspect of all culture and history. And so looking at it, I think it's really interesting because you're seeing a family that is, for all, they are trying to be good Christians, and it's driving them to be crazy. You know, they're eating each other. They're picking each other apart, and they're bringing each other down. And they're all doing this while they are simultaneously trying their best to do exactly what they think they're supposed to be doing. But bad things are happening. Nothing's coming good of it.
Let me get into that, because I do want to talk about the ambiguity of this. And it is actually one of the things I thought was pretty... It was really good intentions straight to hell. So Milan has made this point before, and he's probably made it about 100 times more intelligently than I'm going to be able to, but I'll try to voice for him. So what killed the vampire? Knowing how to kill a vampire. Scientific, logical understanding of monsters is what killed monsters. Back when you have Dracula come out and, late 1800s, and it's like one of the very first big monster stories that has science defeat, the supernatural, or the scientific method at least. Mm-hmm. And so really what killed the vampire is knowing how to kill a vampire, whereas the old idea of what made a vampire scary, what made any monster frightening, is it was just this unknown, creepy thing that was out there, and all it wanted to do was get you. And that was that's what made the whole idea so fascinating and so legitimately horrifying to, people of old, let's call it. And so that element is here. That stuff's really interesting, but it's very problematic because the only time at which we see characters reacting to the idea that there's actually a witch is when they're accusing each other of being a witch. They don't actively react to the actual witch that's out in the woods. Or is there even an actual witch out in the woods? Was it just the what's her name?
Thomason.
Thomason. That's such a weird name for a girl. I know it's like probably actually an old girl's name, but from modern audience perspective, whatever. So like at the end, it's left so ambiguous. I'm like, wait, was she actually doing all this to the family the whole time? No, wait, that's impossible because the rabbit. And it's just, there's no logical consistency within the movie, so I don't know what was going on by the end of that film.
Well, okay. I don't understand what you mean by there's no logical consistency, because the thing is, the whole point is that the witch is a catalyst, but the actual point of the movie is the falling apart of a family unit, and that ultimately is going to tie back into what Raska was talking about earlier, because at the beginning, this family leaves their religious community because they're like too extreme. They're real Puritan Christians, like extremists, and they leave because they think they're better, which in itself is the sin of pride. And so, right from the beginning, we have this foundation that's wonky for this family unit, is that they're prideful. They think they're better than the others because they're the best Christians. And so when you have the witch expose a sin, it exposes the sin within each and every single one of them, whether it's pride or...
You're talking about thematic stuff, though. I'm talking about just following the plot of the fucking movie. Is there a witch or is there not? I don't know by the end of this fucking movie. There is? Then
I would say
then why does Thomason survive the night in the barn with the goats and the twins don't?
Because they're just trying to mess with her. Like they're trying to mess. They're furthering the.
I think that part of it.
The characters.
I think that part of it is that she is prime material for someone that would become a witch. So, like, while we don't know, she's the last one left alive, and what's the goat's name?
Yeah, Black Phillip.
Black Phillip, kind of like seduces her to become a witch at the ending. So I guess is how I read that kind of. He kind of like seduces her and he brings.
But
her...
no, she goes and like as far as we know, up until she starts talking to the fucking goat, that's just a fucking goat. We have no indication whatsoever that goat is not just a goat, besides them saying, oh, well, it's actually the devil. They communed with the twins communed with the devil, but we're led to believe that the twins were just joking, that the girl was just joking. So then when she goes and becomes a witch, I'm left with this question of, like, did I just have a Tyler Durden moment? Sorry, spoilers for Fight Club for anyone. Did I just have a Tyler Durden? Was that what went on in this movie? No, that couldn't be, because of the rabbit in the woods from the very beginning. And you know, we've seen the witch do shit, and, like, clearly she couldn't have been in both places at once. I don't know what's happening. Was there a twist that the movie didn't earn, or did it just not make sense?
Well, I think what happened was, the thing is, at the beginning, we're introduced to Black Phillip because the two kids are singing in rhyme to it. They're singing these songs. Yeah. And in that time, and especially in biblical text, rhyming and song have a very distinct meaning. And so when we're introduced to this thing, and because they're speaking in rhyme and singing to it, like that is it, the movie's first clue that this thing is more than just a goat. And so, and then also in basic historical accounts, the devil's always kind of been a goat, or evokes goat image.
Goat-headed Satan.
Yeah.
Okay, quick question then. So did they have the goat before they met the witch, or did the witch make the goat Satan?
The witch didn't do anything to the goat. The goat was always...
Okay, so let me just get this straight then. This family of Christian Puritans just so happened to have a goat that was Satan and move out into the middle of a field right next door to a witch.
Yeah.
They just had that shitty of luck.
Yeah.
But it's a folktale. That's not... And you can, it's stupid. It doesn't make sense within modern, like, literal, like, life. Like, that doesn't make sense. But, and like I said, if this just doesn't appeal to someone, I can understand it. But for me, like, I read that. If I had read that out of a book, I wouldn't have questioned that 1 second. And that's important, is that it's a movie that only has to live up to, a movie like King Kong in the 1930s does not have to explain how King Kong is transported back to New York City on a boat that probably couldn't fit him.
Yeah, I'm always wondering about that with King Kong. Bill
tells
me that the only time they ever explained it was in the Godzilla vs. King Kong movie.
Yeah, okay, so then you have Peter Jackson's King Kong, and I saw some people be like, well, how do they get King Kong back there? And it's like, well, you don't question it in the original King Kong, because that's the standards of cinema. No one expects that necessarily, not because it's a worse movie, just because that's not a question people pondered back then. You could get away with things like that where there was just a fault in the logic of the film. Folktales are filled with that, just crazy coincidence, magic. Everything everything revolves around happenstance and just fate and all these things. And if you
I got you. I love mythology, but this is a movie. This is billed as a movie.
It's a movie that's clearly trying to be a movie that is a folktale.
I actually have my ticket on. Let me see. Zootopia.
That's a good movie. I like Zootopia.
Yeah, Zootopia Witch. Even the ticket just says witch. It doesn't say a folktale. The first time I've heard anyone say that it was not just witch is tonight.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's not the. I don't think that's the movie's fault. I think that's kind of like a wide marketing thing.
Yeah, marketing thing, sure, but still, that's like.
That's the most important detail of the thing, honestly. If you don't have that, then you lose. Then you're very unlikely to get the same fulfilling experience for the average viewer. Is very unlikely to get the same experience if they're not going into it thinking that this is a New England folktale. If you don't think that, it's going to be a different experience for sure.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the experience I had. You saying that it doesn't solve any of my problems, but it certainly lessens them a bit. It makes the thematic stuff come out and work a bit better for me.
You can see where people find its entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. I can see it. I still think it's an awful movie, but I can see some of the thematic stuff being more appealing. My problem is still, if you're going to make a movie, it has to be able to appeal to an audience. That an audience has to be able to follow it, and I don't feel like I could. And Connor, you telling me that a bunch of other people had the exact same experience, or at least seem to, I can see why people aren't liking this movie, because I shouldn't have to. Now, I don't want to say that. I was going to say I shouldn't have to work to understand a movie, but I shouldn't have to work to get just what the fuck is going on moment to moment in a movie.
Well, okay, I got a question. I do have a question.
There's a lot of movies like that. I don't know if that's fair to say.
I got a question, though. Was part of the reason of your not really understanding what was happening due to the period dialogue? Was that a bit of a culture shock to you?
A little bit, but my ear got used to it within the first, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes. Like, I knew what was going on plot-wise in that time. It took a little while for my ear to get used to it. It didn't help that there were so many times when they were all yelling over each other, but I don't think that was a big issue for me.
I don't want to give off the impression that I think this movie's perfect. I think 3 of the characters are thoroughly insufferable out of the 6. I think 3 of them are thoroughly insufferable, but they also have the least amount of screen time. I think that
the mother and the twins.
The mother and the twins can go die in hell, man.
Yeah, the mother and the twins are fucking aggravating. The father, I have no sympathy for. The little boy the son is, a pervert. So
I mean, I don't know. Hey,
look, your sister's Anya Taylor-Joy. You can't really help him, can you?
Yeah, come on. There's nobody else around. He doesn't got Pornhub.
Okay, not related at all, but just because I had this conversation a while back, and I feel, when am I ever going to get a chance to talk about it again? So a friend of mine was chastising another friend of ours for watching what do they call it, hentai? He's like, why would you watch that? It's just drawings, man. That's so weird. And I just kind of I had to interrupt and go, well, actually, photography's only been around for 150 years, give or take. So, no, closer to 200 now. For about 200 years. So, what do you think porn was before that? And just general thought I'd like to throw out there.
Yeah, people used to have nudes sent that way. That was a thing. It was people used to have naked drawings of themselves sent to other people. It was like sexting back then, a long time ago before photography.
Yeah, just something that crossed my mind. Might as well throw it out there. There's the clip right there, just completely out of context.
The witch discussion.
No, just old-timey porn.
The relevance of old-timey porn in the context of the witch.
The father I have no sympathy for because he's a hypocrite, and the son I'm just yeah, dude, you're looking at your sister's tits.
Okay. I love the father. I think he's a very interesting character because of the hypocrisy that he doesn't really see.
I mean, he's acted well. I have no sympathy for him.
Ralph Ineson. I can't believe I've never heard of this guy before. Oh my god, he's really good in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll admit he's acted well. It's just I have no sympathy for the character. So, mark of a bad horror movie is when I'm waiting for all your characters to die. If you're supposed to feel something when your characters die in a horror movie. You don't want to root for the monster or killer or whatever to kill off your human cast. And so, good rule of thumb, not 100% applicable, but a good rule of thumb for a horror movie is if I'm waiting for everybody to die, you're making a bad horror movie.
So, Ian, earlier you said that you weren't aware of what the moral of the movie was. And I think as far as this, when it comes to this is a morality piece, and I think that it's not don't go into the woods. That's not the moral of the story. The thing is, we look at the sin, the sins in each of these characters and how they're exploited and ultimately destroy them within the family unit. And I think that's the thing is be aware of your faults and don't let them overtake you. That's kind of the broad message.
What I kind of see is a movie where it shows it's people that are living up to this this idea. They're trying to be moral based off of kind of an outlining of like this is morality, this is good, this is bad, based off of their faith, and at the same time, while they're trying to be the best Christians they can, they're simultaneously being terrible people in other ways. Mm-hmm. So they're doing things that may make them a good Christian but a bad person, or a good person but a bad Christian, and it's kind of the hypocrisy amongst them trying to be one thing but retroactively making themselves go down the wrong path that they don't want to be.
I don't know, like there's one scene in particular when the son's dying, or shortly after he dies rather, and or no, actually just that whole scene with the kid dying. I'm just really like, I get, emotions are running high. These are Christians. They've been afraid of witchcraft and stuff for years. I'm the logical side of my brain gets all that, but at the same time, when a 5-year-old tells you that her older sister's a witch, as a father, wouldn't you just naturally dismiss that as a child being a liar?
And he does.
Yeah, he does, but then when the son dies, he completely reverses on it, and he's ready to take her into town and have her tried as a witch.
Because his son is dead.
He's throwing up apples.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, it's like he goes right to his daughter, and then literally all she has to do is like, I'm not a witch, she's a witch, and I'm just left like, and then he totally buys it, and he locks them all in the shed. I'm just like, okay, I get emotions are running high, but you're still a father dealing with children. You're gonna tell me that you've never been in the middle of a I didn't start it, she started it situation. Like it felt really, really just complete, like I said, a leap in logic at that point. And I don't know, maybe it earned it because of how high the emotions were at the time. It would have helped if the little kid's performance wasn't, and you guys are going to kill me, laughable.
Which kid?
At that point. The son's, his death, I almost cracked up.
Oh. Well, because...
there are people that laughed in my theater. I was kind of like, this is creepy, but I don't know.
I don't know, it was generally creepy, but then he's like...
I felt like I was watching a kid be raped by nothing. That's what I felt that I was watching when I saw that. That was just me.
I don't know, it's when he starts talking and like praying to Jesus, and like it's vaguely sexual.
It was like, weird. No, what I was seeing, I was thinking that, I'm like, this looks like a kid who is being raped, but he likes, it's weird. It's like he has like he's being raped, but he's like liking it, and he's dying at the same time. And I was like, this is weird. This is really weird. I don't know. I thought that was creepy. People in my theater laughed though. So
yeah, well, see, not often am I on the side of Das Rabble, but here we go.
I mean, I had people vocally talk about how they thought this movie in the theater. People were, while watching it, were like, "This sucks." And I mean, okay, if you're going to say that, okay, I can understand. But I mean, there are movies like, it wouldn't, like, if I go into this movie and people are saying that in the theater, like I can hear them saying this, I would expect to hear the same thing when I go to see The Revenant, but I don't. You know, like I saw The Revenant, that for me would have has way more scenes where I could imagine someone being like, "This sucks, I'm bored," or something like that. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like it's part of the genre where shitty movies go just to die, which is horror movies. You know, it's part of that genre. But it is a movie of the pedigree of something like The Revenant, where it is reaching for that level of like artistic integrity and craftsmanship. So it's really weird because I feel like it's the last kind. It is the farthest thing possible from what most people would want this movie to be going to it, or what they thought it would be going to it.
Yeah, and that's the part of the thing is the audience for horror movie is stupid teenagers. And what do you know? A bunch of stupid teenagers want to see this one. But whatever. Maybe I'm just generalizing, but whatever.
Maybe, I don't know. Like it so doesn't work for me. If I make a genuine effort, like keep in mind I'm going into it to review it, so I'm trying to fully understand it in one sitting, and my God, what an effort. And I cannot make heads or tail of basic details of the plot and reveals of the story, then something has failed along the line. I don't think that's disputable at all. If myself, someone who, I don't know, I'd like to consider myself fairly intelligent and able to comprehend things, if I can't make heads or tails of basic story elements, like is there or is there not a witch, it's a problematic film at the very least.
So but what would you say about like the end of like 2001? Like, wouldn't that fall into the same problems that you're...
like that's actually something I've been wrestling with because I love Kubrick.
Because I'm saying, like, you watched 2001 for the first time, you're probably lying if you come out of that saying that you understood the ending. Okay, I could see that you got the movie for the first, 2/3, 3/4 maybe. But that ending, if you're telling me you came out of that knowing exactly what that was, I mean...
No, it definitely took some time. Alright, so here's my review of 2001, I guess. So for 2001 and The Shining, it's definitely a very similar case where there's a lot of ambiguity, there's a lot of strangeness. To be fair, you kind of know you're getting into that with Kubrick, though.
Okay, well maybe you know what you're getting
Kubrick's kind of got the name for that. This guy I've never heard of.
because this is his featured debut.
This is a bad movie to come out with.
No, it's not. This is awesome. The atmosphere, the clever writing, the visual cues he incorporates here, they're very, very smart.
I think that it's one of those things where, me personally, I don't like to smack that many rules on art, period. I don't ever like to say, well, this is
That's
this
fair.
about art. Like, well, if this doesn't happen, then this is this. Like, I don't like to say that, like, one thing means that that this is the result of that, or, like, because of this is not good, or
that's fair.
I don't like
and
put too many rules on
I
it.
try to avoid rules.
So
as
that's
well.
why for me it's like, okay, yeah, Kubrick movie, it can be confusing as fuck. Maybe it does. Maybe you don't understand it after 30 times after you've seen it, but it earns that because you know that it's not just bullshit, because you can clearly see.
I mean, to be fair,
where it's coming through. You can clearly see what it's getting at. There are parts, though, that make it difficult, and you have to go back and watch, and you have to think, and you have to talk with other people about it. And this is that for me. The Witch is the same way for me. It's one of those movies where I grant it the weirdness and what some would say lack of internal logic from like scene to scene, because I know that there is something there. It's clearly, I think that it's clearly not stupid. The movie is not dumb. It's clearly doing something, and it works for me because I came out of the theater thinking about what it wants me to think about, I feel.
Fair enough. Like, we're talking about Kubrick. 2001 was blasted by critics at first for just being artsy-fartsy crap without any real story, and then over time, more and more of the story developed. My first viewing of 2001, no, I didn't fully understand the message Kubrick was trying to get across, but there are enough hints laid across there that if you give it time to watch, it gets better, but it's at least consistent. There is a story there that you can follow, and it leaves you with questions at the end, but there are clear answers that are ready to be found, whereas, once again, I don't know if there's any clear answer as to whether or not there's a fucking witch.
Maybe you watch it a couple more times than there is. Who knows?
Oh, no, God. The only thing that was horrifying about this movie is that I wasted an hour and a half of my life watching it.
I might go back and see it again.
Why can't you be happy that it was only an hour and a half? Here's the thing, though.
The only other horrifying thing about it was that I wasted $6.25. I could have spent that on a comic book.
Well, okay, here's the thing, though. Maybe the thing is, like, from the get-go, this thing just had an appeal to me that made me trust it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
This thing reminded me of The Twilight Zone, and The Twilight Zone is my favorite show ever. It's a minimalist cast, a minimalist set, and it's just a very simple premise that kind of becomes something bigger as it goes along. And
yes,
I think,
yeah,
I think on those grounds it was very successful as like a as a very low budget movie that they really made this thing work. I think the craft here is excellent. The makeup is great. The costumes are great. The sets are excellent. Like the atmosphere is palpable. Like there is so much.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And like I kept trying to give this movie some rope. Like I really did. Like, you know, it starts out and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe I'll start to like it once I can get past the accents and stuff. That it was a good choice of them to like throw as much of that at you right away. And then it kind of only goes downhill from there. But like maybe so at the beginning, I'm like maybe I'll get used to it once I can get my ear catches up with the accents, and like, all right, maybe I'll get more into it once the witch really starts going, and then like, you know, the witch steals babe. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, this is gonna be awesome now. And then it's like just it's like fucking days before anything else happens.
How long was the movie?
Hour and a half, hour and 38 minutes, I think.
You know what's funny is when we walked out of the movie, my brother turned to me and was like, I wish that movie was longer. Because
I wish that movie ended at like so many points.
Well, the thing is, like, I will agree that the movie doesn't have a whole lot going on the surface. But I think that the thing is, the movie does kind of give way to what's happening under the surface at plenty of times to make you kind of ponder what it's saying, saying about what you do when you're trying to be like the best you can be at the expense of everyone else. And I don't know, man. I think that there's some commentary on religion here, but I also think that religion could be replaced with anything. And I think that ultimately, the whole convincing of the daughter to be a witch at the end doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because we never really learned much about these characters outside of the situation they're in.
Yeah, that one's still like that. That's why I'm sitting there questioning. Wait, was she like Tyler Durdening me the whole time?
Yeah, but the thing is, I think Black Phillip asks her, like, do you want to see the world? Is that something you want to do? And she's like, yes. I'm like, wait, she wants to see the world? Huh? I didn't know that.
Well, like, it's such a weird thing, because, the father dies, and then she has to kill her mother because, bitch is going crazy, which is, certainly interesting, or at least could have been. And then she just goes inside and takes a nap, and and then she just walks out to the bar and is like, I'm going to talk to Black Phillip. Okay. And I'm going to sell my soul to the devil to become a witch.
Okay, but then what? But here's the thing, though. I think that when she goes to Black Phillip and I really like the choice to not show a goat moving his mouth in sync with the.
God damn it! I really wanted to see the goat move its mouth and talk. I was really hoping they'd cut to that.
I thought it was like a chilling voice. I really like the directing style to just kind of like have it be a single take of her face. I thought that was a great choice, and it was decent acting on Anya Taylor-Joy's part. But the thing is, after that, the last couple minutes where she just takes off her clothes and just walks through the woods and then finds a coven of naked witches dancing around, and she joins them and then ascends. And then I think that whole ending though does kind of work on a nihilistic level of the good you're trying to do is just gonna be your downfall, and then you might as well just embrace the evil and become a messenger of Satan, and
it was
that way, and then you will literally ascend in some kind of evil way. That was genuinely frightening to me.
For me, it was the movie was kind of. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of taking it away from what you were just saying, but the movie, for me, what I kind of get out of it on a really basic level is that it's a kind of a movie that's kind of showing you how morality and rules do not coincide. A rule set up by a government, an institution, a religion, is not linked to any sort of morality inherently. So I just because this is a rule, it's not immoral for me to break this rule, just like it's not moral for me to necessarily follow it. Depends on what the rule is. And
there's a philosophical paradox. are the laws, or what is it? Are laws pious because they come from God, or are they pious on their own? And if they're pious on their own, then why do we need God? It's kind of what you're tapping into there.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of asking you, at least, or anyone, to kind of question what they do, why they do it, and if they do it because what they're told is that this is the moral thing, or if what they are doing is actually immoral because what they're doing is trying to attain something that comes at the cost of other things. And I don't know. Just like I said, these are all things that personally just really attract me to the movie.
You know what I think? I think we need to have a heavy metal band called Black Phillip.
You know what I think? I think this entire movie is just a metaphor for, like, schizophrenia or something. Like, that's what's really going on, is the girl is just legitimately going insane the whole time, and her family just happens to die in really horrible ways, because anyone in the Old West died in really horrible ways.
Yeah, but then you have, like, the mom who, like, hallucinates that her baby comes to her, and then it's actually a crow eating her nipple. Like, oh, that was weird.
And it's weird that she goes back to bed after that. It's like no one knows. Like, you would have figured the father would have woken up some point during that, and just like seen what was going on. I would have figured something would have happened.
Maybe he did. Just rolled over and went back to sleep.
Like, fucking this shit again.
Oh man, the crow on the nipple again. It's freaking go.
I don't know. That was something. If it wasn't such a creepy image, I probably would have laughed at it. Like if that had been in another horror movie, they could have very easily made it hilarious. There's a lot of. All right. I'm gonna shift the conversation here and do something that I probably wouldn't have done if you guys weren't so nice about me not liking this.
What's that?
We're going to talk about things I actually enjoyed about this movie.
Yeah.
And that is a very short list. But, okay, so the atmosphere, I absolutely do. I absolutely adore. But let me ask you guys something. I'm not sure if this was just my theater experience, because this movie is incredibly quiet. And okay, one brief side note, soundtrack sucked. Back to good things. This movie is incredibly quiet, but was there like just random spurts of background noise, kind of like wind blowing or something when you guys watched it, or is that just me? Because I wasn't sure if like my theater's AC was kicking on and off, or if they'd like legitimately mixed the sound to have random noise blowing wind in the background every so often.
Maybe there was a witch in your theater with you, bro.
Probably.
I know, it's been like, 2 weeks since I've seen this movie, so I don't know. I can't remember. I remember liking the sound design, though.
Yeah, I don't really remember that, but I know that I loved the music whenever it panned into the like when it zoomed into the forest when they first got there. You know what I'm talking about? Where like, like when they first get there and they're like praying to like their field, and it zooms into the forest, like stuff like that was. And the music there was really creepy.
Yeah, I thought that was a little disjointed. I don't know. I would have preferred if they made that part happy and then it starts to go to hell. But that's a personal taste thing, I guess. I really do like the atmosphere. I was just like so confused at points by the sound design. I'm like, wait, is this just my theater's air conditioning, or is this because like. I didn't notice it during the trailers, but to be fair, the trailers actually had, music, whereas this just kind of has, like, the whole fucking time.
Have you seen Sicario?
What's it called?
Sicario?
No.
Oh, Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, who should have won Best Lead Actor, but he wasn't even nominated, whatever. Benicio del Toro, but that movie, like, it has like a very similar soundtrack where it's like this soundscape, very bombastic and kind of quiet at the same time. But
yeah,
it's like a contemporary thing. But I kind of dig it.
I don't know. I like a good soundtrack, and I like a soundtrack that I could actually see myself listening to on its own. I have no desire to go listen to this.
I like that with a lot of movies, but then there's other movies like Alien that like I love. Alien's music is awesome.
You know what, Rasco? It always comes back to Alien or Blade Runner with you. Like every time.
Yeah.
Either of this guy somehow always ties back in.
We got to get him an Alien jar.
Yeah.
Or no, we got to get him a Ridley Scott jar. I really like that idea.
You know, speaking of music in Ridley Scott movies, Vangelis' music in Blade Runner is pretty sweet.
Yes, it is so good. I love Ridley Scott.
Fair enough. Okay, I really, really like the witch kidnapping the baby and, you know, bathing in its blood.
Yes, that was my favorite part of the movie, was that little, like, quick, like, montage of her, like, with the baby, then covering herself in the blood, then, like, the weird, like, what was it? Was it the rabbit looking out at the moon, or what was that? I forget, but...
I don't remember.
Awesome.
It was really dark, so it was kind of hard to tell what was going on, and that was intentional. I just really like that. And what I was hoping for, I guess, I think where this movie really lost me is when the son comes back. Like, I was really kind of, like, I was trying to stay with it, and then when the son came back, it really started to just completely lose me. Because at that point, what I'd hoped for, what I'd built up in my mind, given the little we'd seen to that point of the witch, was she was going to keep taking people to make herself more powerful, more beautiful kind of situation. You know, she took the baby and that made her younger. She was going to take the kid and that was going to make her, I don't know.
Man. Right.
No, I was thinking like, well, it's younger for the baby, kid maybe, I don't know, more athletic or something. You could have worked something in there.
Ian, if you were able to pick up on the baby making her younger, like, how come you weren't able to pick up on other, like, story things? Because, like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, that's something...
I mean, that one was... No, because the baby doesn't make her younger, because she's only younger for that one scene.
I think that was kind of like a trick, like, she's just seduced him.
Yeah, and then the next time we see her, she's an old hag, and that was very confusing.
Because I thought that the baby wore off by that. By then, though...
Then that's just like a really shitty reason to kill a baby. It's only gonna work for like a week and a half. What's the point?
Hey now, you gotta kill a lot of babies if you want to be a young witch.
What was the line from the episode of Scrubs where they get like it's JD's fantasy and they're like in like English castle times and the janitor's like a troll that lives under a bridge and someone goes, "Get away, you're going to eat my baby." And he goes, "I don't eat babies. With babies, it's a minute on the lips and a lifetime on the hips. I only eat toddlers." No, but like, I thought that was very strange. I'm like, oh, okay, so she gets younger when she eats baby. That's kind of clever. And then it's like an hour later we finally see her again and she's an old hag again. I'm like, oh.
Oh, but I thought it was kind of cool that she does like her, you know, her witch laugh that everyone kind of associates with witches, like one time, and it was kind of creepy because like, oh, you know, that's like a kind of like a playing on popular culture tropes of what a witch is, and I kind of like that.
Speaking of historical accuracies though, and things that about witches that are perceived and actually what the real legends were, I was very disappointed by the ending. If you were gonna go far enough to have a bunch of naked women dancing in the moonlight and stuff, and then have them ascend, I was really disappointed that they didn't have them ascend properly on the broomstick, or well, sticks in this case. Because like the reasoning, you know, you'd hear like that old thing, a witch will ride a broom, not the way Hollywood depicts it, very much the way that a 13-year-old might depict that image. That was the joke. It was a dig at witchcraft. They're just a bunch of crazy, horny women that, shove anything up their vaginas and fly around like a bat out of hell. So I was really disappointed they didn't go the whole hog and show that, because that would have been at least a really fun image to leave the movie on. Just shove a tree branch right up there, ladies.
Yeah.
For all our female viewers, you're welcome for that feeling in your stomach.
Ouch. I'm kind of trying to imagine what that might feel like.
This episode of Geeky Gentlemen brought to you by the Cleveland Hot Pocket. Did someone say what? Because please, someone asked me to explain that.
What?
The Cleveland Hot Pocket, similar to the Cleveland Steamer, is when a woman holds up in her vagina and the man shits in it in order to lube it up.
What's that? Is that a new topic?
Yep, that's what the rest of the episode will be on, because honestly that sounds more enjoyable than this movie.
You just keep roasting the witch, bruh. You just keep roasting.
Yeah, I don't care for this. You did me wrong, Rasco. No, other things I liked about it though. I like that they had the balls to show an ugly old naked woman on screen.
Yeah.
Once but twice. That was pretty impressive.
That was really, 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 really creepy. That was... Ew.
Like, one time I'm like, okay, yeah, but it's the beginning of the movie, so they're just trying to, like, shock everyone into, like, oh my god, this is going to be that kind of movie. And then when she gets hot, I'm like, okay, so now it's going to be that, which the rest of the time it's like, nope. Nope.
She was hot.
She was pretty hot. But
I'm attracted to, like, evil, sexy women. So, like, the Red Priestess from Game of Thrones, the Witch. Add some more to that list. Sexy evil people.
It's a short list, but it's growing.
Into.
Senator or Emperor Palpatine?
Oh, he's number one. Those pantaloons.
Oh, yeah.
That scene where they made, like, Star Wars Episode 3 sex scene between Anakin and Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, you mean where Anakin gives Emperor Palpatine head?
Yeah.
I've seen that little cut up. That was really funny.
Yes.
I actually do a really good Palpatine, so.
The Force is strong.
Strong in you.
Once more.
You shall be known as Darth Vader.
You do a better deep voice. Like, that's what pissed me off, is like, just for that one thing, they just bring his voice down here.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Balls.
I don't know, I do a pretty good Palpatine. Do it.
I like that part in Episode 3 where, like, they fight off some super battle droids and just goes, yeah! 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 Yeah!
I don't know, I just like that scene in Jedi where he's like, it goes on for entirely too long, but that's kind of why I love it, is he's just shocking the fuck out of Luke, and he just stops every so often to make fun of him, and then he just starts up again. It's awesome. He's like, you will pay the price for your lack of vision, bitch. Anyway, okay, what else did I like about this movie? Most of the performances, even the annoying twins and the annoying mother, are well done performances of annoying characters. They're meant to grate on you.
Yeah. The annoying kids in this movie, they're not annoying because they're like a kid actor that just can't do the role, like Anakin Skywalker is in Episode 1. They're annoying because they're supposed to be like just kids you want to kick in the fucking face. You just want to bash their teeth in.
Drop kick these two.
I thought both the kid actors were actually pretty good.
I'm trying to remember no, neither of you were there when we did the Omen review, but you've both seen the Omen, right?
Nope.
What?
I know. I've also never seen Ghostbusters or Terminator 2.
Dude, you haven't seen Terminator 2. Yeah, I know you haven't. I already knew that about you, Connor. But you need to go see Terminator 2. What's wrong?
I've rented it like 6 times, and I've still never
Watch it.
seen it.
It's so good.
You still rent movies?
Yeah, we have a local video store. It's a Video Espresso. Like I have a free rent.
There's this thing called Pirate Bay.
I don't pirate stuff. I gotta give
Anyway,
my money to the hardworking old people that run our local Great American Video and
You
Espresso.
fucking Oregons. Oh my god. Anyway, no, but like I really like the twins remind me. It's the only thing I can think of where it's like a kid legitimately being a good actor because they're trying to be annoying.
Yeah.
There's a scene in The Omen where it's just the mother and Damien in like a lounge room or whatever, and there's a pool table because they're rich white people, and the kid is just like taking the pool balls, and it looks like he's just having the time of his life. He's gone, pew, 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 like literally making that noise as he throws the pool balls down the table, and I'm miming it out for you, and I don't know why. It says he throws the pool balls down the table, and then he runs to the other end, and he goes, pew, 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 and he's just doing that back and forth, and his mother's just sitting there, and she has this look of, kill me now, God, on her face, and then the babysitter and the father come in, and it's like, oh, he's the cutest child ever. He's just so playful. And she's like, get rid of him. And the twins reminded me of that scene. Not quite as good, but it's up there.
I actually didn't like the twins at all in this movie. I thought they were honestly really annoying, and my least favorite scene in the movie is that scene where it's the older brother, the oldest sister, and then one of the twins riding the broomstick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that scene I could barely watch. I was like, ooh, that's hard. Because, like, I don't think the dialogue is probably the weakest it was. The acting is the weakest it is in the entire movie. And I don't know what it was. And then, like, when the Thomason just starts scolding her and saying, I'm gonna bewitch you if you stop, if you keep annoying.
Once again, that's part of what confused me about whether or not she was pulling a Tyler Durden.
But then what happened? Oh, I've also never seen Fight Club. But then what happened was.
Sorry.
Oh, dude, I know what happens in Fight Club. I've been on the internet for over like 8 years. I know what happens in Fight Club. It's my own damn fault for falling for that. So but that whole scene though, it was like really hard to watch because it's like, I'm pulling a prank on you, and then the little kid's like, stop it. I'm like, I am not convinced whatsoever that little twin is actually scared.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
I know you have a brother, but you guys are twins. Any other siblings?
Yes, we have an 11-year-old little brother.
Okay, so you never did any of that shit where you just were trying to pull a prank and then they started taking it too seriously.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Okay, so I don't know, it's just like that. I've been on the opposite end of that, where I've been a kid and I took something like a sibling or someone older than me said way too seriously, and like they felt really bad afterward. Like I've been on the receiving end of that, so maybe I could just relate to that situation better than you could, is what my thinking is. But if you've done it, then I guess it is just not working for you on a personal level.
I guess
then.
So that is like this. That when it comes to like stuff like acting, it gets very subjective from person to person. For me, like the twins, I didn't find them very particularly good actors. There's actually one shot that I don't know if it's intentionally funny, but it's when the witch shows up in the shed. And it's like a profile of both of them, and simultaneously they open their mouths and scream. It looks like something out of The Simpsons. It's like, ah!
I was just happy they were dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe they're witches also.
Maybe it would make just sense.
Maybe little girl was the witch.
The whole time.
She said she was.
That still, to me, is like the weirdest thing. Like, you're the witch. It's like, no, she's the witch. I'm the witch. I am a father. I am a father, and I've never been in this situation before. She took my corn doll. No, it was my corn doll. They're both witches.
Oh, get yourselves your bone corn dolls.
Yeah. Okay, anything else that I legitimately enjoyed about the movie? Like I said, there's not much. The costuming and stuff, the look of it, it is a ballsy move to have it all be in Old English, but it does pay off at points. It gives the movie a little bit more gravitas than I think it deserves. It makes it feel smarter than it probably is. So I did enjoy that choice overall, even though it takes, like I say, a little while for your ear to adjust to it. Yeah, costuming looked great. I was fairly impressed with that side of things.
Yeah, I like the entire production element was very impressive.
Mm-hmm. Because this easily could have just been, we'll just get some clothes that look, old pilgrimy, and we'll just go film in a log cabin out in the woods, and that'll be the end of it.
Spirit Halloween's clearing out. Let's see if they got any pilgrim costumes.
Yeah, it really easily could have been that, and it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of positive things for me to say about this movie because I didn't have a very positive experience viewing it. There are things here and there that I liked. Honestly, I would have rather seen something that's more just, I really want the Universal Monster movie verse to take off and just start doing characters. Like, I talked about this with Bill when we did our review of the Monkey's Paw story. I really just want, like, a Universal Monster witch character to just be everything that you think of when you think of a witch.
Yeah.
Like, I was really hoping for more of that kind of thing in this, and that's not the movie's fault. I was hoping for more just like stereotypical witch, but like fun and cool to watch, kind of like something similar to what we've got with Dracula Untold, which I did enjoy more than most people, as just a simple fun movie. So I was hoping for that, and that's not at all what we get. So if you're like me and you're hoping for that, and you listen through this much of the episode to determine if it would be that, it's not. So you probably shouldn't go see it. Actually, no one should probably go see this movie. Would be my general recommendation.
If you like the Insidious or the sinister type of horror movies, then don't watch this. If you're a fan of like the Babadook, I would recommend watching this.
Oh man, see, I was thinking about watching that movie, and now I have no interest in it.
The Babadook
it's amazing.
Babadook is great.
Yeah, see, now I don't know if I can trust you. Because you enjoyed this awful movie. I'm giving you a rough time, honestly.
No, I don't mind.
Like it's funny. We started this call tonight, and Connor's all like, "Oh, 10 Cloverfield Lane is a great movie," and I'm like, "Well, he also said you like The Witch, so I don't know if I can trust you anymore." All it takes is one time where you're wrong for me to never trust you about your opinions on movies ever again.
Exactly like my coworkers. So what do you know? So yeah, I mean, we live in a world where gods of Egypt actually exist, so this isn't the worst thing ever made. I'd recommend watching it. It's one of my favorite movies so far this year. I doubt it'll be in my top 10 or my top 20 of the year, but for right now, for a first quarter horror movie, it's about as good as you could possibly get, so I would recommend it.
I would recommend burning any copies of it you find.
I would recommend it as well.
Okay, let's go ahead and do a rating, and then I'll announce next week's video that Steve and I decided on. So, alright, what am I going to rate this movie? I'm going to try to be fair. I want to give it a 0, but I'm going to try to be fair, and since there were things about it I enjoyed in a really, really general sense. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 naked old ladies rubbed in baby blood.
I will give the movie 4 out of 5 Black Phillips.
I will give the movie 4 out of 5 buckets of churned baby matter.
It reminds me of one of my favorite jokes. How do you make a dead baby float?
Root beer?
You're close. You take
Ice
2
cream.
scoops of ice cream, dead baby, put them in a blender. I love that joke. Because everyone's like, I don't know, you put it in the water? No, it's so much wronger than that. Okay, so next week, funny that we briefly mentioned Cloverfield, because next week we'll be talking about found footage movies. We were going to do this topic like a long time ago when Steve first came on the show, but actually we did this topic a long time ago when Steve first came on the show, and I will hold that it was one of our best episodes, but there was a weird recording error, and the entire time there was just like every 2 seconds that sound would play, and so the entire audio was just completely unusable. So we never posted the episode. So we needed to wait for the ideas and the conversation we had to completely leave our minds so we can go genuinely have the conversation again. Little tip out there for anyone that does or wants to do podcasts: always start recording the Skype call right when you start, in case you end up having a really, really good conversation. And 2, absolutely under no circumstance should you ever try to recapture a conversation, because it will suck. If you have a really interesting conversation and then you didn't record it, just keep whatever the subject matter was in the back of your head for a while.
Forget about it.
And forget about everything else you said, and then record the new conversation, because it'll actually be better than the first conversation you've had, because now you've had time to stew on it. So there.
Sometimes I try to do that with, like, spoilers. If I learn a spoiler about a show or a movie, I'll, like, lock it in my brain and, like, repress the memory.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because I would usually agree with you, but there was this one time, me and Comics Kid 2099, we were doing an episode of Twin Peaks for our podcast series where we, review each episode, and then one of those one of the episodes we recorded ended up not actually recording, so 2 days later we ended up re-recording the entire thing. So, I don't know, it turned out pretty well, I think, but I do agree. Usually, don't ever re-record, like, immediately afterwards.
Yeah, it's never as good. Because every time, I guarantee you, what you will do is go, oh, well, you said this thing about this, and the person will go, I did? And then it just turns into an argument about whether or not you said a thing that someone else has said. And it's so dumb. Trust me, everyone, never ever do that. Or try your best not to do that. Anyway, that'll do it for... I think I'm good on time. I think I've got like an hour and 10 minutes here. That'll do it for this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. Next week, we're talking about fan films. Or not fan films, found footage films, sorry. There should do an episode on fan films at some point.
Fan footage films?
I just briefly, I saw a really cool Darth Maul fan film today.
I did too.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, was it the one where all the Jedi are fighting? Well, I mean, that's probably...
It's called, like, Darth Maul Apprentice.
Yeah,
I saw
that
that
was
too.
it.
I thought it was good. I would do an episode on that, because I actually had some things about that, but I don't know.
Want to stay on after I end this episode and we'll just record a mini?
I don't know if I can, actually. I kind of have to be somewhere, but yeah,
Oh.
I've seen it, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was a cool fan film. So go check that out, and I'll get a hold of Squatch at some point in the future, and we'll record an ultra mini on it.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen his stuff in Clone Wars? The episodes that he had in the Clone Wars series?
Yeah, I've seen some of them actually.
Okay. That might be interesting to like rewatch those episodes and then watch this and stuff. And just record like a full mini on it. Just on Darth Maul's character, I guess. Anyway, sorry. That'll do it, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the sexually traumatized guest.
And I'm the witch.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And apparently lady. And we will be discussing